I am coming on with your monthly or quarterly, depending on your membership level, your video tutorial. And I am going to do a bit of a vintage mixed media piece in this small Dylusions journal. And I have a video a while back somewhere, probably in my collage playlist, where I made this big piece of collage paper. So if you want to see how I did that, I will link it in the description below. But I just cut two pieces and put them on either side of this journal spread, and then put a piece of music paper down the middle to just kind of marry them across the crease. And I have a magazine over here only because I'm going to do some stenciling, and this is in the beginning of the book, but it has 2 pages underneath it that have kind of bulky elements, and it was real lumpy, so I wanted a better surface to be able to stencil on. This side's a little lumpy too because I don't go in order, so there's some lumpiness under here as well. Anyways, this paper was put down, and I just went around the edges with some vintage photo distress oxide ink. And I think I'm going to start with, hold on, there's so much stuff around here. This stencil by Kaisercraft called Line Art, because I want some color down and some pattern, but I don't want to cover everything up, so I think this will work just fine for that. And I'm not even going to use all of the stencil. I'm just kind of going to go here and there, and I'm going to use Prussian blue only because I have this blue piece of that French cheese company receipt is what that was. So I'm going to use the Prussian blue, kind of bring that out or match it up or whatever. Grab a paint dauber. I like to use the daubers for stenciling. I'm going to pounce a lot of this off though, because I don't necessarily want it real dark. And I think maybe we'll try just around the edges first. See how I like that. And I moved it. It's okay. You can tape your stencil down if you're worried about it moving. Let's see if I can get mine lined back up here, because it moved real good a couple of times. Oh, it's alright. Because this is so random, this pattern, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to go back over that. Yeah, that's good. I like that. Pick up a little bit more and go down here and get some marks down here. Try and hold it tighter this time. I like that. I'm going to turn it this way and get these vertical lines just going down here a little bit. And I'm going to come on this side and kind of do the same thing. Maybe not as much because I know what I'm putting on this side of the page. This side I'm not quite sure yet, because that's kind of how I work. Kind of decide as I go. I let the piece tell me what it needs or what it wants. The only time I try to plan things out, like, oh, I'm going to use this and this and this, and this is going to go here and that's going to go there, I never like it. So I have learned over the years to just kind of let whatever piece I'm working on kind of guide me. I'm just going to go light with what I have left on my dauber in this background area here where it's lighter. And take most of it off. Yeah, that's good. I'll do the same thing over here. I like that. Oh, that's just enough. And I will clean that stencil off and that dauber off. You can wash these dauber sponges. Just wash them in soap and water and lay them flat to dry, and you can use them over and over again. In thinking about this spread, I don't know if you all watched all of the Pass the Brush videos on Instagram over the last couple of days, but it was to highlight the artists of color in the art community because they don't really get the recognition and the exposure that some of the rest of us do, and that's really not fair, and it really cheats us because there are a lot of really amazing women and men of color making art out there that we should all be able to see. Anyway, it was organized, I think, by Dina Wakely and someone else. I can't remember who. And they selected 50 artists to pair up, one Caucasian and one artist of color. And they took over each other's Instagram channels Thursday and Friday. So the artists of color got a lot more exposure because they were sharing or taking over the other artist's channel. So I watched a lot of them and saw a lot of really amazing things being created. But it just got me thinking. I was born in the early 50s, so I was in high school, junior high and high school during the civil rights movement and unrest, and things have changed and gotten a bit better, but in other ways they've just gotten different. And not better, just different. I wanted to just acknowledge with this piece, this project, the fact that I recognize the African American, the blacks, the Latinos, the other non-Caucasian artists who are working just as hard as the rest of us and just not really getting recognized. And I wanted to say I see you. So that's kind of where I'm headed with this. I just gathered some vintage bits and pieces that I wanted to use, and I came across this sweet vintage photo. It's a Tim Holtz paper doll, and I had this little envelope that came with some ephemera that I got from the Mad Fox on Instagram, and I thought I'm just going to tuck them so they can go in and out of this envelope. But then I'm going to add the little Caucasian girls over here, just kind of as a show of solidarity and friendship that everybody can be in the art community. I hope that makes sense. It makes sense to me. That's what I'm doing. And besides that, it's just fun. So I think I might just smear a little of that blue on this envelope. I'm just going to use a baby wipe since I already have it here and it's already got blue on it. That might be a little heavy. I'm going to get much of it off though because it's already sunk into the paper. That's okay. You do it the way you want. Of course, because I already had the vintage photo on there, it's a little bit green, but it's okay. I'm just going to dry this real quick so I can glue on top of it. I want to get some vintage photo down inside of there because you can still see that. I'm going to try and do it with a brush. A brush. I got new brushes. So excited. I got a new brush caddy and a set of brushes. So I went through and put all my old scruffy brushes in my old caddy and all my new and my better brushes. That's not great. I'm going to put some blue in there too. The other one's in the old one. So now I don't know where anything is. I do this to myself all the time. It's like, oh, that would be a good holder for XYZ. And then I do it and then I can't find XYZ anymore. There, that's a little better. I just wanted some down inside that lip. If you follow me, you know this is my absolute favorite glue. It's called the Ultimate by Crafter's Pick. And it just sticks fast and hard. And it's coming down to the end. So I'm going to have to shake it down. There we go. That top edge is still wet. It should be okay. I hope. But I'm just going to get that stuck in here and let that start drying really good. Okay, I'm going to set this aside for a minute. And I'm going to grab a piece of cardstock. And I'm going to bring in my paper dolls. And I have the Embossing Glazes, the Tim Holtz Embossing Glazes. I haven't played with these enough to be really good at them, but you can get the embossing ink where you want to put the glaze, the color. I'm just going to do the dresses for right now, and I'm going to use the speckled egg. And I'll tell you right now, I make such a mess with this powder. Such a mess. And my work surface is gritty for a week after I use it. I'll get better, but I love this stuff. I really do. So just put it over wherever you put the embossing glaze. Tap it off. Let's see. Yeah, so I want to get an old brush and get that powder off their faces and their legs. Whoops. I took it off where I didn't want to take it off. So what I will do is, oh Sally, see, I'm telling you. Oh, it's right here. Right where it should be. I'm just going to hit that spot again. Maybe we'll do her bow too, once I have the pen out. The embossing pen is good for the little spots, but I like the dauber to get the bigger areas. And get her bow. And that part of her dress again. does have a tendency to stick where you don't want it, but usually you brush it off, it's okay. You do want to get it on when the ink is wet though. See, that spot may have dried up right there on her sleeve. Okay. And grab my tweezers so I don't burn my fingers. I'm just going to heat this, but I don't want to blow that powder all over. I need to put that back in the jar. It takes a minute for my tool to heat up to the point where it will start to emboss, but then once it goes fast. I don't know if you can see it. I'll hold it up here. I don't think I'm blowing the powder anywhere. There it's going. Maybe you can see it. Okay. Can you see the glaze on there? Sit them over here and get this powder back in the jar. Should have a paper underneath there too, because sometimes I miss the jar entirely. Put this one away, and I'm going to bring in our other little kids. And let's see, what color do I want to use on them? Let's go for the peeled paint. I love this color. Or maybe we'll just do her dress and bow in peeled paint, and we'll do a different color on his clothes. Yeah, they look cute. Cute. Whoops. Let's put them back in before we close it up. Okay. I'm going to clean up a little bit, and then I'll come back and we'll start putting this together. Okay, I'm going to start gluing down some ephemera I just have some bits and pieces here out of my stash that I have. I've gone around the edges with the vintage photo ink, and I tore this piece off the bottom here. I'm going to put it over here for the little girls to stand on, because I like my people to have ground so they don't look like they're just floating in air. Let's see, I wanted them here, so I'm going to put that kind of off to the side right there. And I have an old ticket, Pee Wee Valley Amusement Company, children under 12 ticket. And then just a piece of brown paper stamped with a black number, because I love numbers. So much I love numbers. Which way? This way, I think. Let's scoot that over there. And then when I was looking through the paper dolls, this lady's face fell out. So I'm just going to stick her on too, because I think she was saying she wanted to play. I'm just going to stick her down here because I can. And then we'll get our girls on. And the paper dolls will take a few more minutes to stick because they're heavier. And I'm going over top of some of these other papers, so not too much. Oh, let me move her down just a tad. There we go. Yeah, that ultimate glue sticks really good for something like this. Now I don't want to glue these kids down. I want them to be able to slide in and out. So we're just going to tuck them in halfway maybe. And then I have this piece of waste from along the side of a mixed media pad after I ripped the page off. And I just hit it, this was in my stash too, I just hit it with some Quinacridone Nickel Azo Gold High Flow Acrylic. And it had a piece of masking tape. I used it as a stencil somewhere along the line and then just threw it in my stash. So I just pulled a couple pieces of that out. I inked up the edges of that too. Since I have one there, I'm putting one over here, balance it a little bit. So now we just need a focal point for this page. And I'm thinking about maybe stamping some words, some sort of a sentiment. If there's, I think I asked on the community tab if there was anything in particular you guys would like to see in terms of the monthly members only tutorial videos. So hop on over there if you haven't already. I don't think I saw anybody answer me. So that's where you're going to find, and if you turn on the notifications, then you'll know when I post a members only post to the community tab, just a reminder, then you will know when the video is up for you guys. And sometimes I will do like a sped up version of the same thing and post that on my channel, but you guys will get the exclusive full listen to me yammer on about what I'm doing and why and how and what I'm using and all of that. So what I want to do right now though, at least on this side, maybe I should wait, but when I get the lid off, I just have some watered down gesso with the lid that's stuck on. I buy these little medicine cups Here, I'll show you one that's closed up. Okay. They're just these little medicine cups with the plastic lids, and you get like 100 for $3 or something. I get them from Walmart. But I like them just to, like I keep some watered down gesso in one. I have some black gesso in another. I have my matte medium that I just spilled all over. I have some of that in another one. I'm just going to put some white gesso here and there on this page just to kind of push a little bit of this background back and kind of bring everything together a little more. Should have done it before I put the girls on, but I didn't think of it. Alright, get off. So I'm just putting it on with the brush and then just smearing it around with my finger. Just like that. And I mean, that's, you know, you don't have to do this. I just kind of like it. I think it helps kind of unify the background a little bit and helps bring the focal points forward more. So, and like I said, I'm going to wait until I know more what I'm doing on this side, and then I'll probably do the same thing on that side, just so that everything looks like it goes together. Tuck this back in. I just got deli paper stuck in here so I don't stick things to the other page behind here. I just keep a little bottle of hand sanitizer on my desk, and every once in a while if I have glue or a lot of ink or paint or something on my hands, I just rub it into my fingers and get some of it off, and then just wipe it off with a baby wipe. Hand sanitizer's getting harder to come by these days. Alcohol is ridiculous. I've been really practicing my alcohol ink art, and I hate to even use the alcohol because you can't get a bottle of alcohol for under $15, $20. It used to be $2. And I understand why. I understand alcohol art is not as important as, you know, let's give the hospital all the alcohol or whoever's getting it, but I could share a little bit. Okay, I'm going to let this dry, figure out what I'm going to do over here, and then I will pop back on and we can finish this up. Get those kids in their spot. There. I thought, what was over here that would allow me to make a door? So I just punched it out with my paper punch, which isn't fully sharp all the way around, and in this case worked out well because it didn't cut right there. So it's like, oh good, okay, so I have a door instead of a window. But I thought I could wire that or sew it or whatever there, and it could be a way to open the door. So that's what I thought about doing with that, and I'll add that later. And then I thought, well, what do I want under the door? And I found these girls in my Tim Holtz, what are they? Photo booth, I think it's called. Yeah, photo booth. And they're just like those old-fashioned, back when I was in high school, we had dime stores, and we would always go in the photo booth, a bunch of us, and have our pictures taken. I think it was like a quarter or something, and you got a bunch. Anyways, I am going to put these girls over here, and I marked already where my edges should be, so I get them in the right, whoops, get them in the right place. Come on, girls, cooperate. And I am going to end up covering up my Finders Keepers words here, but that's okay, I don't care. That page is done. That's kind of how I roll. Okay, that's done. But I just wanted something besides just the picture there, so I have that Tim Holtz measuring tape. I thought, yeah, that helps just to get a little graphic element back there with the picture. So I'm going to glue that down, and then we still need a focal point here, something else for on here, and then at the end I'll add this just to maybe, or maybe I'll add something else. I did think about just gluing a piece of this on, because it's got the masking tape so it's reinforced. I could just use that too, and then it would kind of go with the other. We'll decide one or the other. So I just wanted to come back and show you. That's where I'm at with that. So I'm going to get this glued down where it belongs, and I will be back. I took a sidetrack here. I decided I want some of this Tim Holtz tissue on here, and I colored some matte medium just with that Quinacridone Nickel Azo Gold high flow acrylic. Save me a step. And I'm just going to put it down with that and just kind of smear it around a little bit, blend it in. And then I want one over here on the back of our door. The Tim Holtz collage tissue, I love the way the edges just blend right in and you can't tell that it's collaged on. It looks like it's stamped right on the page. I'm going to switch to a bigger brush for this bigger piece. If you brush your tissue from the center toward the outside, you can get rid of most wrinkles and bubbles, which is also the reason why I put the matte medium down on the page and then put my collage paper on top of that, and then matte medium on top of the collage paper. Just some more dark graphics. Okay, and I'm going to dry that real quick. So evidently I turned my camera off and I thought it was on, and so I got messed up from here on out, so I am switching to voiceover at this point. And I'm just adding another little piece of that Tim Holtz collage paper next to the girls that will be underneath our door that opens, and dried that off. And then I grabbed my little piece of waste paper that matches the other two pieces that are already on here and decided to use that for the little door pull. So I just glued that down. And pop the kids back in their little bag, and still contemplating on a focal point for that left hand page. So I went looking through my stash and I found a set of old postcards. Well, they're not old postcards, they're probably from the 90s. At some point in the 90s, someone I think gave them to me, and there were two of each picture inside. And I found this cool photograph of Harriet Tubman, who was an abolitionist. And I remember when I was in grade school, I was an avid reader, always going to the library, and I loved biographies. And I read her biography way back in the day, and I remember being so impressed with how brave she was. So here I'm just trying to decide if I have room for the whole thing, and obviously I don't if I still want my large numbers to show up. So I'm gonna just cut her out and just use her, and I'll save the other two people for another time. It looks like maybe a family photo or something, but I really liked it and I thought it was really appropriate for this page. So I'm just gonna cut her out. Okay, I hit the button, but not hard enough and didn't turn the camera on, so I apologize. I was talking away to you about using this image of Harriet Tubman, so I cut her out and glued her down. And then the only other thing I did was I took my Stabilo all pencil and just went around some of the papers, the figures, and the door, and activated it with some matte medium in my brush. And I'm going to call this done. I'm going to think real hard about if I want to add a word or two. I may put it in here or over here, but until I'm sure what I want to put, I may just do hashtag pass the brush, since that's what inspired me to do this project. But we've got the kids in their little envelope over here, and I did add this little 7 Gypsies dome stud here just to give a little more of a handle. And our girls are back there, which you can see over here. And on this page I already had these little girls, and the caption says, "That moment when you hear someone else call your best friend their best friend and you're like, no." So I think that goes well on this page too. But I like the little door. So I am going to leave you with it. I hope you enjoyed watching. Thanks so much for your membership. I really, really appreciate it. And in the meantime, you go make some art. Bye. See you next month.